All right. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good day. How we all doing today? Man, I tell you what. Oh, good grief. Good grief. It is starting to get pretty interesting. It is starting to get pretty interesting. Not gonna lie. Um, Tell you what, it is. The off season is fully started. The off season is fully started. There's different rumors everywhere. And honestly, the way the teams are playing this out is really weird. So, the Buccaneers, we've had a lot of head coaching hires. So the Buccaneers hired Zach Robinson as their offensive coordinator. Now, I put a good amount of blame on Mr. Robinson for the offense's failures in Atlanta. He wasn't that great. He didn't have a lot of razzle dazzle. And the reality is, Tampa Bay has another offensive coordinator for Baker Mayfield. This is 4 years in a row. Dave Canales, Liam Cohen, moving into last year, and now Zach Robinson. The Chiefs have already realized they're probably losing Matt Nagy to a head coaching position. They hired Eric Bieniemy. I love that move. I absolutely love that move. You hire a guy that always worked. You hire a guy that fits. I mean, just absolutely fits the mindset of Kansas City. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I believe with Mike McDaniel getting hired out in Los Angeles for the Chargers, Petzig getting hired in Detroit, you've still got multiple areas where things just kind of look a little bit different. Okay? At this point, I believe there are some teams that are still panicking. I really do. I think there are some teams that really don't know what to do, and they are panicking. You need to get your coach in. You now have Mike McDaniel, Eric Bieniemy, Brian Flores. This is a great one. Brian Flores signed an extension with the Vikings, but that does not mean he's not going to get a head coaching job. It means if he doesn't, he will be the Vikings defensive coordinator for the next 3 years. If he doesn't take a job next year or the year after. Brian Flores fits a lot, and I mean a lot, of these issues. Brian Flores fits everywhere. He really does. Brian Flores fits everywhere right now. The only issue that I have with Brian Flores when it comes to a team, honestly, is the Raiders. That is the only issue I have. I fully believe that he could go to Cleveland and be okay. He can go to Arizona. He'd be okay. And I think the way to make or help Brian Flores be successful is going to be bringing in an offensive coordinator that can just handle the offense. Just the offense. That's it. Nothing else. You don't need to handle anything else. I think that's all it is. Matt Nagy, to me, I think Nagy works in Arizona. I really do. I think Matt Nagy, it's an offensive mind. I think he works in Buffalo. Not going to lie. I think he works in Buffalo. Because the mindset, and we've got all the stories out now, okay? We got all the stories out. One thing is for sure. Brandon Beane is not safe. Brandon Beane is not secure in his job at all. And I believe after the press conference that we all witnessed, I believe he understands he's under a microscope. The fans blame him that the roster isn't good enough. You know my feelings on some of the contracts they've done. I have the same feelings about Chris Ballard here in Indianapolis. Listen, some GMs just are not good at it when it comes to getting the right player for the right price. He can manipulate the cap all he wants to. But if he's not good at getting the correct player at the right price, everything falls flat. Well, that's what the Colts are. Colts have a bunch of overpaid players. They're a bunch of overpaid players. And it hasn't hurt them because they're not paying anybody on offense outside of Taylor, Nelson, and Pittman, really. They're starting to pay Raymond this year, which is going to change things. But the reality is, he is a B general manager. He needs an A coach. But he has an A++ quarterback. And I just want to throw this out there. 4 turnovers. Wild, wacky game. 4 turnovers. And he still scores 30 points. Okay? The issue is, and I said this, McDermott lost his job 3 years ago. McDermott lost his job in 13 seconds. Go read the stories, guys. Some of the stats I'm about to tell you will shock you. You have your quarterback thoroughly outplays Mahomes in Arrowhead. Thoroughly outplays Mahomes. Scores the leading touchdown with 13 seconds left. The special teams coordinator. This is why having a good coach matters. And this is where McDermott proved he failed. Massive failure. 13 seconds. Any fan, any lukewarm fan, any general fan of football knows you win the game by having the most points when the clock hits quadruple zeros. You have 13 seconds. I remember watching this game. Tony Romo called it out immediately. It was Sean McDermott who overruled the special teams coordinator in that game. Special teams coordinator wanted to squib it, take time off the clock, at minimum 3 seconds to 5 seconds. So either you're going to have the ball with 10 seconds or 8 seconds left when Mahomes comes on the field. 10 seconds or 8 seconds. And he overruled him. Said, no, I want to touch it back. Dumb move. Dumb move. But okay. We're going to touch back. We're going to give him the ball. But we only have to stop him for 13 seconds. Leslie Frazier got overruled next. He took a timeout. McDermott took a timeout to match what Andy Reid was doing. Leslie Frazier wanted to go 6-man blitz, force the ball out of Mahomes' hands quick. McDermott said no, rush 3, drop 8. Protect the sidelines. Why? Why? go after Mahomes. Get the ball out of his hand fast. That was the right call by Leslie Frazier. And McDermott said no. McDermott's coaching failed Josh Allen consistently. He's been in Buffalo for a while. Do I believe McDermott has another coaching opportunity coming? I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know. Does Cleveland hire him? Possibly. Would Arizona hire him? Maybe. But the reality is, I don't think he's going to be coveted by that many teams. Because the Buffalo media has been, in most cases, very gracious to his failures. Very gracious to his failures. Now that he's no longer the coach, they're no longer gracious. McDermott failed. Period. It's that simple. Period. Nick Sirianni, who is a worse head coach, easily won a Super Bowl with the roster that the GM built. The roster won the Super Bowl. You have the best quarterback in the league. Your defense in these playoff games since 2019, these 6 years, okay? 6 years. Did you know that the Sean McDermott defense has averaged allowing 3.8 points per drive? Per drive. In all non-kneel down drives. In all the drives that did not have a kneel down in place. Let me see. 152 drives. Twelve of them were punts. 12 of them were straight punts. Only 3 turnovers. I said this the other day. What's the difference? I use defense in the biggest moment. Don't give me the Carson Beck stuff right now, okay? You're in a national championship game. The Indiana defense, when it was on their shoulders, got an interception. Buffalo's defense, when it's on their shoulders, gives up 40 yards or 45 yards in 13 seconds and gives up 53 yards in penalty yards. That game against Denver, Sean Payton beat Sean McDermott. Because Sean McDermott would not protect his players on the defense. Last year, I told you about it. I called it sitting there. It's in Buffalo. Andy Reid is going after the same corner. It was, if I remember right, it was Elam. Going after Elam. Play after play after play after play. What did IU do to Miami? They went after the same corner that was covering Becker. Play after play in big moments. That's professional football. So what do? You stop having that corner, that player be on an island by themselves. You can't do it. It doesn't make any sense. I do believe that the stories are going to hurt McDermott. I believe he may be called by two teams at most. If I'm the Raiders, I am not. I am not calling him if I'm the Raiders. At all. In the slightest. There's no reason for me to call him. Sean McDermott is not the coach for Fernando Mendoza. I mean, I would. I would bring in Matt Nagy to coach Mendoza. If they can get a really good defensive coordinator. Jonathan Gannon is still out there, by the way. I just want to point this out. Robert Saleh is head coach of the Titans. The 49ers are the team that's going to get their next defensive coordinator. And then John Harbaugh is right behind. Stefanski kept Albrecht, so that's one team that doesn't have to worry about losing or signing another defensive coordinator. Now, I do like how some of these teams are built. I don't know what Harbaugh is going to do in New York. I don't know how things are going to play out in Buffalo. I have heard, and I think this would be really, really good. I have heard that Brian Daboll is one of the automatic finalists because Josh Allen is going to push for Brian Daboll. And from what I am hearing, so will a lot of the players. The whole thing yesterday with the Keon Coleman stuff and all the stories that are coming out about McDermott now, I was right. I told you guys there's something wrong in the building. The discipline isn't there. Well, guess what? It's all coming out now. Yeah. Undisciplined, frustration with Coleman was basically McDermott's issue. McDermott screwed up with Keon Coleman. That simple. That simple. He screwed up with Keon Coleman. Now, the next coach has a chance to not screw up. You had a defensive coach for a long time, Sean McDermott. If you hire Brian Daboll, then let me see. If you hire Brian Daboll, he needs a defensive coordinator. I believe he needs a young, exotic defensive coordinator. The offense would be the focus. Brandon Beane is a B general manager. Offensive weapons. Top 10 offensive line. Really good slot receiver in Shakir. Star back. Number one quarterback in football. But consistently panicking on the defensive side of the ball. With a defensive coach. So they go out. They sign Bosa. They sign safety. They draft 5 defensive players for Sean McDermott, basically telling him, stop them. That's what that was. I'm giving you 5 defensive players on defense. We drafted 5. Stop somebody. The Jaguar game was an all-out performance by Josh Allen. The Denver Bronco game was a failure of coaching by Sean McDermott. Both games, you're scoring points. And I know everybody's like, but that's this NFL. Baloney. No, it's not. It doesn't have to be. I am looking at this game this weekend between Denver and New England. And I know New England is now the prohibited favorite. I understand that. Here's the reality, guys. What if Denver wins? What if the defense that they played in New England, that Texan defense, what if the Broncos imitate that? What if the Broncos sack Drake May 5 times? What if the Broncos force 3 Drake May turnovers? That's why I don't jump on Stroud. That's why I don't jump on Stroud. No time on the offense. 1 interception was absolutely egregious. The Carlton Davis pick was impressive. But you're getting hit. You're trying to make the Super Bowl. I'd rather have a quarterback go down swinging and fighting and scratching and clawing. Mistakes are going to be made, but they're not giving up, than to have a quarterback just roll over like Aaron Rodgers. Because the previous week we saw a quarterback just roll over. And then on top of that, took himself out of the game and was not on the field when the team lost. Did not take ownership of that game and how he played. C.J. Stroud may have made mistakes. Drake May made mistakes. But they never quit and they played hard all the way through. What if Denver wins? Denver is going to be the underdog immediately. Like, their odds to win the Super Bowl are really high. I think it's plus 1,000 when I looked this morning on DraftKings. Nobody expects them to. What if Denver beats New England? Does that mean there's something wrong with Vrabel and Drake May? Heavens no. They already overshot expectations anyway. They're 14-3. They've now won 2 playoff games. They beat the Chargers in a defensive game. And they beat the Texans in a very ugly, snowy, wet, sloppy game. Outrageously sloppy. The Buffalo Bills scored 30 points with 4 turnovers. And Sean McDermott's defense, when it came down to it, couldn't make the play. Josh Allen hadn't had a good relationship with McDermott. He has an amazing relationship with Daboll. I will say, there is an option here that I do like. There is a really big option I do like. If the Bills were to hire Chris Shula the defensive coordinator from the Rams. I don't think this is a great idea. What I'm saying is I could see this working. If they hire Chris Shula from the Rams, and then Shula signs Dable to be the offensive coordinator, I think immediately the situation goes from B to B plus / A minus. Because Shula is going to be recent with the defense, understands schemes a lot better than McDermott does. So it looks better immediately. And Dable runs the offense. Brian Flores, if he goes to Buffalo, I said he doesn't work in Vegas with Flores and Dable. Buffalo may work for Flores and Dable. That's a bunch of pros. It's a bunch of guys in their prime. Brian Dable is loved in the community. He's loved by the team. It makes sense. Buffalo better be careful. They have to get this hire correct. If they don't get this hire right, they are going to be in a lot of trouble, and they will have wasted one of the best opportunities they have to win a Super Bowl. Now, yes, they've had a lot of opportunities. There are no doubt, no arguments for me here. That is 100% accurate and correct. So let's go down the list here before we talk some basketball and baseball. Let's go down the list here. We had 10 NFL head coaching jobs open up. 10. We currently still have 6 jobs open. 4 of them are taken. We have the Raiders, we have the Cardinals, we have the Browns, we have the Ravens, the Bills, and the Steelers. Robert Saleh is in Tennessee. Jeff Hafley is in Miami. Stefanski is in Atlanta. And John Harbaugh is in New York. Atlanta feels like a high-win team next year. I want to go over this. So I've already looked at next year. I do this all the time. I've already looked at next year. This is Atlanta's opponents for 2026. Home and away. Okay? They are home. Obviously, they're 3 division games. They are home against Chicago, home against Detroit, home against the Ravens, home against the Bengals, home against the Chiefs, and home against the 49ers. Now, we all know that the 49ers are a Christian McCaffrey injury away from basically being irrelevant. Without Christian McCaffrey, that team falls apart. Their road games next year: at Green Bay, at Minnesota, at Cleveland, at Pittsburgh, and at the Commanders. You don't know what Pittsburgh's going to be next year. You don't know if they have a quarterback. We don't know what Pittsburgh's going to be. We don't know what Cleveland's going to be. Green Bay, depending on when you play Green Bay, listen, there is something that's accurate. The Green Bay Packers have made the playoffs the last 3 years in the 7th seed. So 10 years ago, they're missing the playoffs. sliding into that 7th seed year after year after year doesn't look as impressive when you realize they would have missed the playoffs in the previous setup. You got to be better than 7th. You're not making improvements. Do I think Matt LaFleur is a bad coach? Absolutely not. I think he's a very good coach. Do I think he has a ceiling? I think you've seen it. 7th in the wild card. You can't give me injuries there. You cannot give me injuries every single year. You can't do it. We have a Micah Parsons got hurt. So what? Yeah, that's why you traded for him. But so what? You blew another lead. Another lead. Matt LaFleur teams are garbage at protecting leads. Absolute garbage. So I think the Atlanta-Green Bay game, Falcons can go up there with this defense and win in Green Bay. Atlanta will be playing a lot of teams next year for them to showcase how they've improved. Stefanski will be given the opportunity in multiple spots to prove why he is the coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And really, when it comes down to it, I'm going to simplify this. Just win 5 division games. That's all. Don't lose to the Panthers. And don't lose to the Saints. Win 5 division games. And guess what? After you win those 5 division games, you only got to beat 5 more teams. The Chiefs are going to be down. The 49ers are a consistent question mark year in, year out. With the injuries and everything else. Robert Saleh is gone. Who are they going to hire? Albrecht's not there. Albrecht is in Atlanta. Who are you going to hire to be the defensive coordinator? So, they have a shot. They have a legitimate shot. Now, let's go look at the Miami Dolphins. What does the season look like for Jeff Hafley? The Miami Dolphins are home for the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bears, Lions, and Bengals. But the Dolphins have to rebuild a lot more. They don't have the young defense like the Falcons do that was really coming on, and an offense that was just kind of stagnant and failing under Zach Robinson and Raheem Morris. Their road games at Denver, at Green Bay, at Las Vegas, at Minnesota, at the Colts, and at the 49ers. In my opinion, the Dolphins' path to even winning 8 games is outrageously hard for Jeff Hafley. You got the Patriots twice. You got the Bills twice. You're going on the road to Denver. You're going on the road to Minnesota, San Francisco. The path to 8 wins for the Dolphins is a rough one. Just to get to 8 and 9. That's just to get there. So I think the schedule, depending on how they play everything out, when they play these teams, it's really going to matter. You know, if you're going to have them playing in Green Bay in December, the first week of December, Dolphins lose. More than likely, Dolphins lose. They got to make some really big moves in the offseason for me to think they could go to Green Bay and win a game. That's for sure. Now, let's go look at the Giants. So we've looked at the Falcons. We've looked at the Dolphins. Now let's go look at John Harbaugh's track for this year. What does his path look like for turning around the Giants? Well, number one, you've got the Cowboys, Eagles, and Commanders. The Commanders' only question mark in my mind is the health of Jaden Daniels. That is my only question mark. That is it. Period. So here are the home games for the Giants, the Cardinals, 49ers, Jaguars, Titans, Browns, Saints. Those are your home opponents for this season. Your road opponents, the Texans, Colts, Rams, Eagles, Seahawks, and Lions. That one's going to be hard. Getting to 8 wins in that schedule will also be difficult. But an 8-win season doubles the wins from this past year. Doubling your wins is a success. Going 8-9 in your first year when you're trying to build something is a success. The Patriots had an easy schedule this year. Easy for them to turn it around. Jets were a fire. Dolphins were a fire. Bills had a down year. But they went 13-4. They only beat the Bills once. They went 13-4. The way this year is going to play out, I think the Dolphins, it's going to be a stretch to get to 8 games. I really do. The Falcons will have the opportunity to win 11 games and absolutely corner that division immediately. And the Giants doubling their win total could be a stretch, but I think it's very plausible. All right, so now we got the Titans. What does the path look like for Saleh? Well, unfortunately for him, he's got the Texans and the Jaguars in his own division. But fortunately, he's got the Colts as well. And if you play the Colts early in the year, it's not going to have Daniel Jones at quarterback. That won't be until week 6 of the season. The Titans' home opponents are the Browns, Steelers, the Eagles, Commanders, and Jets. Right there, I can see you winning 4 of those games. I can. It's going to take 2 off seasons. I said this when he originally got hired. It's going to take 2 off seasons for Saleh to get what he needs. It's going to take 2. I think he can win 4 of those 8 games at home. Maybe 5. And the Raiders. Those are your road opponents. Depending on who goes where, you could win 3 of those. Listen, the reports out of Baltimore are really strange. Is this the time you move on from Lamar Jackson? Do you have questions about Lamar and would prefer to trade him away and just start over with the brand new head coach? I don't think you could fault them at all. At all. Whatsoever. So, there are 6 positions left. I am going to absolutely be waiting to see who gets hired next. I really am. And they got to move because defensive coordinators are coming off the board. Offensive coordinators are coming off the board. Cliff Kingsbury's still there. McDaniel got hired by Jim Harbaugh. You better move. The coaches that have the little bit of pop can get these assistants that are willing to come in and just be like, yep, you can be head coach. I'll take care of this part. I'll take care of the offense or I'll take care of the defense. Either way, you handle the head coaching position. I'll take care of this. and they're willing to. So it's really interesting. It really is. All right. Let's move to the NBA. I am all in on NBA. February 1st, NBC, Sunday Night Basketball is back, baby. That iconic theme song, it is back. And the opening games for NBC on February 1st for that prime section is the Lakers at the Knicks and the Thunder at the Nuggets, of which I believe SGA will be back for that game. Or sorry, Joker will be back for that game. Massive games. So let's look at the standings right now. And yes, we're gonna keep up on this because like today, we got some big games. The Lakers and the Clippers play on Prime, 10 o'clock. Okay, on Prime, 10 o'clock, Intuit Dome. They're in Inglewood. Kawhi Leonard will probably be out. Bradley Beal has been one of the worthless signings they've had. And for the Lakers, Austin Reeves is out, putting more pressure on Luka, of which he went off on Tuesday. Holy moly. So everything is coming down to currently what these teams are going to look like. Well, if you look at the standings, the Los Angeles Lakers are currently 5th. They are tied with the Phoenix Suns, 9.5 games back. They're tied with the Timberwolves, 9.5 games back. 5, 6, 7 are 9.5 games back from the Thunder. Now, the Clippers have fought themselves into 10th position. They are 19-24, 17 games back of the Thunder. But here's the great part. Here is the great part. The number 9 seed is the Portland Trailblazers. The Trailblazers have won 3 in a row. They are 8-2 in their last 10. 8-2 in their last 10. They are sitting there at the 9th position, right behind Golden State. Jimmy Butler's injury, I believe, will be huge for the Warriors. I believe it cannot be overstated the effect that will have on the team at all. I don't think it can be overstated. Now, the way the West is going to line up, the play-in games should be really fun. The Mavericks are only a game and a half out of the play-in. When you look at the other side, it's the Milwaukee Bucks, only a game and a half out of the play-in. I was watching the Bucks and Thunder game last night, and I only had one thought. They have no point guard. The Mavericks and the Bucks have the same issue. No point guard. You need a facilitator. You need a guy that can handle the responsibilities on the offensive side of the ball. It's vitally important. Vitally important. So here's the reality. The trade deadline should be very busy for some of these teams. If I'm the Hornets, I'm looking at everything going, maybe we do trade LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is actually a very decent. He is not Lonzo, nor is he his dad. LaMelo Ball is averaging 7.6 assists per game. It would be a big trade to go try to get him. Not saying it wouldn't. But I believe with who they've drafted, Knuppel, Sion James, I think they've got the ability. They could trade the backup point guard, Colin Sexton, in a heartbeat to any of these teams. I think he helps both the Mavericks and the Bucks immediately. They need a facilitator. Now, in that same zone, you've got the Wizards. The Wizards are younger. The Wizards are younger. They don't have as many pieces to trade. They don't have as many. So what do you do with them? Well, you stay young. That's the number one thing. You got to stay young. I think their only true options of being able to trade and move off of people is going to be probably Chris Middleton. He's got a big expiring contract. They'll probably try to get something for him. Anthony Gill, trade him to a team that needs depth. But they have got so many guards that have come on. And I mean so many guards that have come on. And you traded for Trae Young, and it looks like he's not going to play this year. This is going to be a next year thing for him to play. So the Wizards could make a couple of moves. The Indiana Pacers, I have said, need to trade Benedict Mathurin or Andrew Nembhard. Nembhard is a point guard. Now, I watch everything very closely. I have fantasy. Okay? I have fantasy basketball. I watch everything extremely closely. So let me be real here. The reality is, Nembhard has not taken his opportunity or seized his opportunity to handle the reins of the Indiana Pacers. He's failed. He is absolutely failed. When it comes down to it, there are a couple of teams that can sell. I think the Hornets, I like the nucleus. I wouldn't trade LaMelo Ball. I would trade Colin Sexton first. I think that's a really smart move. Lots of teams need a point guard. He's your backup. You've got others. I think you trade Sion James or Colin Sexton. Then I believe if you're the Kings, you're really, really looking at trading Zach LaVine. I know he's the younger one, because you got Westbrook there, DeRozan there. I know he's the younger one, but I really believe they need to make that switch. LaVine, it would be coveted, and you'd get a really good amount of players for Zach LaVine. The Pacers need to trade Andrew Nembhard. Point guard, he'd be wanted across the league. There's options here, guys. The NBA trade deadline is February 5th. Just over 2 weeks away, correct? No, 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today is the trade deadline. If your team needs a point guard and they don't make a move, let them know about it, because there are plenty of point guards out there. And that's as simple as it gets. It's as simple as it gets. So we'll see how everything plays out. In the last hour, nothing new has popped up. So there we go. I am hoping, I applied, I'm waiting on the response. I am hoping to be able to go live on TikTok and YouTube, simul stream, hopefully tomorrow. That's what I'm hoping. We'll find out, but that is what I'm hoping, and we'll definitely go from there. All right, guys, we'll go over championship games tomorrow. Go over a couple of off-season things for some teams as we start looking at the off-season. March is right around the corner. It is right around the corner. So cannot wait for that. Appreciate you guys hanging out. As always, I deeply appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the podcast with a friend. As always, make it the best day you can. Thanks so much. Till tomorrow, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk, and I'm out. Have a great day.